Welcome along, Anna. Hello, good to see you.
Everyone.
This is a first. We are on the Lega Serie A YouTube channel. We are in English this afternoon in Italy, but we should stress it's probably morning where you might be watching. It could be the evening, but we are here to celebrate a milestone, Anna. 8 million subscribers for the Serie A YouTube channel, which is a pretty impressive achievement.
It is, and wherever you are from, we are really happy to have you with us because we have a lot of things to talk about today. So
much to discuss. Well, first of all, introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Ana Quiles. I'm a sports journalist, Spanish, but I live in Italy and I cover Serie A like every single weekend. And I'm really happy to be here with the whole Serie A crew and to get to expand our horizons right now, because Serie A is not only for Italy. We know that Serie A is loved all around Europe, but also all around America, all around the world. So we want to celebrate this with you.
Absolutely right. That is the whole vibe of what we're doing here today. Ana Quiles from Spain, Patrick Kendrick from England. I'm one of the commentators on the Serie A World feed. So you might have heard my voice if you watch Serie A matches on a weekly basis in English. But it's not just Spain and England that are represented today. We are delighted to be joined as well by a familiar face from across the other side of the Atlantic, Marco Messina. Where are you, Marco?
Hey, Anna. Hey, Patrick. I'm doing good. So it's funny that we said all this. We said how global it is. You're introducing me that I'm from the United States, but I'm actually in Napoli at the moment. I'm covering the games for the next month all across Italy. And I have to say, I'm not too mad about it. Italy's beautiful. It's treating me well. So I couldn't be better. And I'm happy to be here. A huge milestone, 8 million subscribers on YouTube. And I can't wait till we get some more.
Marco, you have some secrets from Napoli that you're going to tell us really soon.
Secrets. Some secrets I could tell you, Anna. Some I can't.
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
He's staying tight-lipped on that. I understand it.
Okay,
It's journalistic privilege. He doesn't necessarily want to give away all of that great content that he is currently working on. A reminder that Marco works for CBS, the US rights holder on Serie A, and he is now spending a month or 6 weeks going all up and down the Italian peninsula, going to stadiums, going to games, and giving everyone a behind-the-scenes look. So I, for one, am very jealous.
You're jealous?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm stuck here in Milan.
You've been living the dream for so long.
Well, that's
true.
You
just got here.
And we are here in Lisone. Before, we will show you the delights of Lisone in due course. But before we do all that, we were saying 8 million subscribers. So we've decided to loosely break things up into 8 chapters. We're going to look through 8 questions to run through how and why we've got to this milestone. Yeah. So should we start by looking at...
I have to ask a question to both of you.
Sure.
How many subscribers do you think Serie A's YouTube has right now?
Marco, over to you. Age before beauty.
8,156,000.
Okay. Yeah.
You go.
Well, I know that we reached, I'm going to do a bit of maths here. We reached 8 million, not the Saturday just gone, the Saturday before that. So given the exponential growth the Lega Serie A YouTube channel has had, I'm going to go for 8,047,612.
My God, that's precise. I'm going to say 8,900,000.
Okay, I like it. Round numbers.
Yeah, well, let's just see how many followers we have after this live.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the most important thing. I think what we're here for today as well is an excuse to drum up some business. So make sure that you like, subscribe, all of that jazz, and please keep commenting as well in the chat. But here's how we've got to this milestone.
Incredible. I mean, 8 million. What would you do if you found like 8 million people all together?
In one place?
Yeah, that's like impossible.
What a prospect. Yeah, it's like a city. I don't know which city.
That's
Rome.
Brooklyn.
No, Rome has 5, like 3 or from 3 to 5 in the outskirts. I mean,
okay, there you go.
3 in the center. 8 million people is like...
But we've got sidetracked. We were looking at that brilliant graphic that was showing us the gradual growth, weren't we, of the 8 million subscribers, which have now topped that particular milestone. But on we go, because now we are talking about celebration. No?
Yep.
We want to celebrate the fact that we have 8 million subscribers. And we've mentioned the fact it's very international. You're from Spain, I'm from England, Marco is from America, albeit from an Italian background. The clue's in the question, Marco Messina. There you go. Marco, talk to us about your experience of Serie A growing up in America. How much access was there to the league? How much has the game developed in terms of what you're able to access, what you're able to see, and how you're able to consume Serie A from that side of the Atlantic?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, growing up in the United States, Serie A it's a league that gets passed down from generation to generation. It was my nonno who first, he grew up as a massive Inter fan coming from Piacenza, coming from Italy, and he passed it down to my father, and then they passed that tradition down for me, because Serie A, it was not just every Sunday that we got together and watched the game. It was everything else that went with it. It was my mom's cooking. It was my grandma coming over, and everybody just meeting in one place to watch the matches together. So really, it was a family atmosphere for me, and just seeing how Serie A has grown since I grew up. I grew up in New York, in Brooklyn, which is a very, very diverse neighborhood. I didn't grow up with a lot of Italians around me. It was usually, fans from different backgrounds. And while we had a lot of Serie A fans, that I was friends with, I grew up with fans of other leagues, which kind of put this chip on my shoulder, which wanted me to, promote Serie A and wanted me to help grow and seeing Serie A get 8 million subscribers is really a fantastic achievement. But I've just seen the growth year by year, and it's fantastic to see. And finally, we have some really great coverage, and today is a really good example of that. English content on the Serie A YouTube channel. It's brilliant.
The first of many, we hope, Anna. So we've heard about Marco's experience in Brooklyn. That sounds really different to what I experienced growing up. But I wanted to hear about you in Spain. I mean, because obviously La Liga is a very strong league with a great identity, Barcelona, Real Madrid, but
Very
not just
followed
them.
all around the
And I
world.
know that you come from a footballing family as well.
Yes.
How was it when you were in your family environment, and perhaps you wanted to get in? Did you watch Serie A growing up, or have you come to it a bit later?
Well, I have to say that it was all of a destiny thing. I wasn't looking to come and follow Serie A. I grew up in a family that they followed soccer every single Sunday. My grandpa was the president of a football club, so I just grew up with it. The thing that was a surprise for me was when they called me for an internship and they said, you have to come to Italy, and I said, okay, let's go follow Serie A. And my memory at the beginning was super boring games, because it was all defense, and they didn't play 7 years ago how they play right now. And I think there's been a great evolution, and I'm really happy to experience all of that. So you tell me, Patrick.
No, absolutely. I completely agree with you. I think that's a really good point that you've made, Anna. The fact that in recent times, particularly in the last 2 or 3 seasons, but we've seen it this season more than anything else, the games between the top sides absolutely spectacular, and we're having just so many goals. I remember a game that I did earlier on this season, Lazio 4, Udinese 4, one of the craziest football matches I've ever experienced. There was a 4-3 last season, Cagliari winning against Parma. We've had 5-3s, Lazio Benevento.
3-2, Roma Juventus.
One of the craziest games I've ever seen,
Yes.
with that late goal from De Sciglio. There was a 6-2 for Atalanta away at Udinese earlier on at the start of 2022. So I think you make a really good point. We've moved away from that sort of stiff, stuck-up image of catenaccio, which is almost bandied around as a dirty word. This idea that Serie A was all defensive and a really slow tempo, slow pace. No, it's much more entertaining now. It's much more modern. I think they're embracing new coaching philosophies, new outlooks on the game.
They became more like Spain, I would say. No, more like a Spanish kind of
I think
approach.
It's a bit more
vertical,
a bit more laid back than perhaps there was a bit more rigidity there. Some of those traditional coaches that said, we only play this way, we only play this formation, that you have to knock round pegs into square holes and so on and so forth. But coming to my experience of Serie A, I would say it's always the same for someone of my age in the UK growing up, because we were very lucky. Serie A actually had pride of place on a Sunday afternoon. We had a terrestrial channel, Channel 4, and the only football you could watch live was one game a week, and it was Serie A, and they would choose a game. Sunday, 2 o'clock it was, with the time difference.
So when was the first time you watched a Serie A game?
So
do you remember?
It would have been the early 90s. I'm giving away my age a bit here, but I would have been 7 or 8 years old, for instance. So it was brilliant. And we had some iconic voices. We had James Richardson, who's become a very iconic presenter now. He'd go up and down, and he would do a little bit like what Marco's doing now. He would sit in a square, he would drink an espresso, he'd have a copy of the Gazzetta dello Sport, he'd crack jokes. It was very light-hearted. It was a different way of seeing football coverage, and then we'd have some wonderful content. Kenneth Woolston and the late Peter Brackley, some brilliant commentary voices.
The Serie A channel, all around media, and lately has been working so much to get to you all around the world. So lately, they've decided to create a center here in Lisone to get to create the content that we want people to see. So let's see where we are right now.
The IBC in Lisone is a wonder of Italian technology built in just 4 months. It's the state-of-the-art production house that provides all content of Lega Serie A's new media company.
Si va con Bonucci che apre destro e porta avanti la Juventus.
Is filmed for television in ultra-high definition 4K, Full HD. Centralized graphics for all broadcasters in several languages. It's responsible for personalizing virtual carpets and virtual LED for the 20 Serie A teams, with 5 different feeds in Italy, Europe, Asia, MENA and the Americas. Virtual coach analysis and international magazine shows on Serie A. An innovative VAR centre containing 8 VAR rooms and a position for the supervisor, dubbed the best in the world by Italian match officials. 3 MCRs, 24 workstations to create automated and personalised highlights packages, 16 commentary booths for Italian, English and Arabic commentators.
Zielinski takes the corner. El Napoli in vantaggio. Prosa da Napoli.
The social media department manages 20 accounts in 6 different languages, while the YouTube channel boasts 8 million subscribers, a world record for a football league. The IBC in Lisone is at the cutting edge. The future here has already begun.
So we're back, and we forgot to tell you, if you have any question, just drop them here and we'll try to answer them. In the meantime, what did we just get right now? Serie A, the University of Football. I mean, that's a statement.
Absolutely. It's where the best players come to hone their skills, where some of the foreign players, every time they come here, the first thing they say in an interview is always, particularly when they're defenders, I specifically came to Italy to learn to defend. Now, I know I'm sort of contradicting what I was saying earlier about the game becoming more expansive and us loosening the shackles of that defensive rigidity, but it is true. Defending is still an art. We saw it at Euro 2020 as well, with Italy going on to win the European Championships. But there you can see it, Serie A, the University of Football. And we said it's the best place to learn about how to defend. But Anna, I've got a question for you.
Oh.
Who's the best? As in, which video on the Serie A YouTube channel has got the most views down the years? What do you reckon?
I have no idea. You tell me.
Shall we see?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. I'm going to spoil it for you. It is Milan 2019-2020 season, which was a crazy
Do you remember
game.
what happened?
I do. Of course, it's my job to remember what happened.
What a stupid question.
At
yes.
half-time, it was goalless between these two giants, Milan and Juventus. By the end, there were 6 goals, which was absolutely astonishing because Juventus went 2-0 up and yet somehow managed to squander that 2-goal cushion. They lost 4-2 to Milan. It was a real turning point, that match, for Milan. And there you go. It was an iconic football match.
I would love to talk about Milan and what's happening this season with Milan. And also, Marco, you tell us what do you feel about Pioli's system and how he's coping with the whole team. They have a really young team, and I mean, is that a good thing or a bad thing to have such young players? But at the same time, they also have Giroud and they also have Ibra that are like the ones who decide that they're veterans and they're leading the whole team. What's your feeling about Milan?
Yeah, Anna, I think that it's a great thing. I think that I watched Milan play live yesterday, just a few feet in front of me, and to watch how that team has really embraced Pioli and his philosophy, and the way that he's really, tied a bow onto the entire team is fantastic. They've got this great mix and a great balance of experienced players, like you mentioned, Giroud, who could read the game well, who could put themselves in the right moment, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who could share his experience with the younger guys and do the dirty work of fighting for each other. And I think the thing that has impressed me the most about Milan is the way that they fight as a family together. Yesterday, in the final moments of the match against Napoli, I was right there pitch side, and I was watching Calabria and Benacer and all their players and the assistant coaches on the sideline screaming and pushing their players forward until the final moment. I think that shows why Milan is on top of the table at the moment, and it shows wwhy Milan is doing so well this year.
Patrick, do you think they'll get to win finally the Scudetto?
Well, you're asking me a question I can't possibly answer. It's such a hard question to answer because it's such a close title race, and that's exactly what our friends are saying on YouTube as well, saying that this is the best title race in years. Liban Youssef has said exactly that, because in case we've forgotten, Milan now top of the table by 2 points, ahead of Inter, who have a game in hand. Napoli are only 3 back as well. Juventus are coming into it. And here we can see this match from Milan against Juventus, and what a comeback it was from Milan. We've really seen that game was emblematic of their resurgence under Stefano Pioli, this young crop of players. As Marco was saying, they've got so much more self-belief now.
Yeah.
And Juventus, we're seeing the way they've come back as well. 14 matches unbeaten. And it's a real change from what we saw at the start of the season when they began the campaign with Cristiano Ronaldo. Then he left the club and they almost looked like they were caught unprepared, which is not something we necessarily
we can
identify
also say
with Juventus.
They were caught unprepared. They started on the
Far
back
be it
foot,
from me to
would you
suggest
say?
that. But yes, 2 points from 12 to begin their first 4 matches, Anna. Now, there's no stopping them. Do you think they can get back into the title race?
Of course.
Are they already in the title race?
I mean, they have Vlahovic right now. He's the player that scores more goals in the Serie A. And like, even though we didn't see Vlahovic at his best moment yesterday, Vlahovic has the power to change completely a game. So speaking of which, let's go see the 8 best goals of the Serie A.
What a
Pronto
signing
Pellegrini.
Christian Vlahovic has been.
Va Pellegrini! Che gol! Che pennellata di Lorenzo Pellegrini! Il capitano della Roma a firmare il 3-1. Imprendibile! Il suo destro all'incrocio dei pali. Sposta il pallone, va sul sinistro, il cross, colpo di testa a mettere fuori, col sinistro al volo! Benasser! Super gol del Milan! Lancio lungo a trovare Insigne in mezzo per Mertens, controlla, mette a sedere Acerbi, poi Patrick e batte Reina per il 2-0 Napoli.
Scamacca prepara la conclusione con il destro! Che gol! Gianluca Scamacca spacca la porta e gela San Siro.
Çalhanoğlu cerca spazio in orizzontale, vuole il varco. Çalhanoğlu in porta! Che gol! Hakan Çalhanoğlu, 3-0 Inter. Meraviglioso destro del turco.
Quadrado dalla banderina, occhio la traiettoria arrotata e pallone che termina la sua corsa in fondo alla rete, sorprendendo Sirigu.
E Cuban, linea di fondo, destro! Con il tacco, 1-0 Genoa, un gran gol di Mattia Destro.
Parte il traversone, secondo palo, rimpallo, João Pedro! Super gol di João Pedro! Una rovesciata splendida per l'1-1.
Some wonderful goals there, absolutely incredible strikes with that João Pedro overhead kick to finish things up. I know we've been talking about America, Spain, England, but we shouldn't forget why we're here in the first place. This is Italian football, so we thought it only appropriate that you would be able to see some of those best goals with a wonderful Italian soundtrack. I don't know, that's
the musicality.
I used to love that as well when we would be able to hear that Italian commentary growing up. It wasn't necessarily always just English coverage. So we've looked at the top 8 goals. We've looked at the video with the most likes, but what about the video now with the most comments? Any idea?
Well, I know it.
Why don't you tell us what it is?
I would say finale di Coppa Italia Napoli-Juve 2019-2020. Let's go see what happened. I mean, you
Hey, I
were there.
recognize that voice.
Yeah, for my sins, I did that cup final. It was a very weird atmosphere because it was post-lockdown. It was 2020 and the game was played behind closed doors, as you can see there.
Yeah,
and
were
a strange
no
game.
fans,
I mean,
no?
this was brilliant goalkeeping from Alex Meret, who played that entire cup campaign for Napoli. Strange game because it was a goalless draw and eventually we went to penalties. And Arek Milik, who was on his way out of Napoli, ended up scoring the winning penalty. I seem to recall Dybala missing a crucial one for Juventus. But speaking about Meret, who had a good game in that particular match, yesterday, Marco, it wasn't Meret, it was David Ospina, who towards the end of the game had to make lots of saves just to keep Napoli in the match and just to keep the scoreline down. Despite that, they have the best defense in the league. What have you made of Napoli defensively and defenses in Serie A in general this season?
No, Napoli in defense has been fantastic. And if I'm honest with you, it's not something that I would have expected coming into the season. You know, obviously when they lost Manolas, who was never really that player that we expected coming from Roma, but even a player like Rachmani, for example, which to me is kind of the beauty of Italy. You know, Rachmani is a player that maybe doesn't have the name that everyone wants to talk about, but when you watch him play and you watch his partnership now with Koulibaly, it's brilliant and fantastic to watch. So Napoli defensively, still for me, I know that, you know, we hinted in the beginning, Anna was saying, and you guys were saying that, you know, it's an attacking league. And while I love that, I still, you know, to my core, I was a defender as a player, not at a high level, but I'm a defensive guy. So I appreciate great defense.
Left back or right back?
And for me, defense wins championships. You know, I was center back, but now lately I like to play right back because I like to run. What about you?
Like Cuadrado, no?
Yeah, exactly. I just don't have the hair of Cuadrado yet.
I mean, you still
Give
have
him
time.
time. Give him time. By the time you come back from Italy, maybe you will have those luscious curly locks, Marco. Watch this space. Keep an eye on that.
And Napoli is not also defending. They have a huge midfielder, and it's not because I'm Spanish, but Fabian Ruiz sometimes like.
Oh, can you just say that again so we can hear that authentic pronunciation?
Fabian Ruiz.
Oh, hear that rolled up.
I mean, he scored a goal last time against Lazio.
Lazio, what a goal.
1-2. I mean,
6
that
goals
was
this season,
amazing.
all from outside the box.
Also, they're really good. They have really good midfielders. Also, Anguissa, Lobotka. I mean, Napoli is a very well-structured team. And Spalletti knows perfectly how to handle all of them. And it's not a very easy ambience. I mean, they have De Laurentiis that we all know. He's a very difficult president to.
I should take that opportunity, by the way, to actually wish a happy 63rd birthday to Luciano Spalletti. It's his birthday today. So
I mean, you know
go.
everything,
He's
Patrick.
Unfortunately, he's not celebrating with a victory, but I like the fact you tried to take us away, you know, to crowbar in that Spanish reference. But we're here to talk about goalkeepers and defenses, and above all, the best saves from this season, because there have been some brilliant goalkeeping performances. Here are the top 8 saves from Serie A so far this season.
La corsa va via Das, mette in mezzo la frustata di Lautaro e il miracolo di Vicario che la toglie letteralmente dalla porta.
Marin dalla bandierina, parte il traversone sul secondo palo, colpo di testa di Cepitelli, poi Cáceres la rimette in mezzo per João Pedro! Milinkovic-Savic la toglie dall'incrocio.
Dalla bandierina, pronto Ribéry, cerca un colpo di testa, la palla allungata, c'è Ranieri! Audero strepitoso!
Da Elmas, libero di Lorenzo. Alza la testa, mette i cross, Mario Rui! Andanovic e la traversa, salvano l'Inter.
La mette giù, prova il cross, il terzo tempo di Milenkovic e altra grandissima risposta di Consigli.
Varovella, calcio di punizione dentro, Hernani, Mignon e poi Tomori.
Corre Pellegrini, inseguito da Kivior, carica il destro da fuori, palla che si schianta contro il palo, Ebram, chiuso da Provedel in calcio d'angolo. Ancora decisivo Ivan Provedel, che mette le dita anche sul primo tiro di Pellegrini.
Lukic, largo Brecalo, mette il traversone, piazza al volo Cragno e poi la traversa a salvare il Cagliari. Ma che parata di Alessio Cragno!
Sorry, which team do you think makes more saves, Marco? This is a tricky question because it wasn't written down.
Say it again. You got cut out.
Which team saves the most?
Ooh, which team has saved the most? I'm gonna go with
it's not top
Milan.
5. Nope.
Oh, it's not top 5. So I didn't say that. I didn't say
the
Milan.
answer.
I know the answer.
Oh, I thought you were asking us a question without asking us
If not, I wouldn't have asked.
Okay, I'm gonna go
You
with.
were there recently. I'm just gonna say.
Fiorentina.
No.
Oh, where else was I recently?
Or maybe I mixed up. I mean, I'm gonna give it Serie A.
All right, now you gotta tell us. Now you gotta tell us on that.
Venezia.
No,
Weren't
I
you at
wasn't there,
Venezia too?
but yeah. No, I didn't
Okay,
think about that.
that was my mistake, but it's Venezia.
Everyone should go to Venezia once or twice in their life. But
Of
moving on, we
course.
spoke about Spalletti, who
Yes.
used to coach Roma.
Mhm.
Now we're going to talk about the current Roma coach.
And
Why?
speaking of which,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say which is the most viewed interview on our channel in Serie A.
It's
of
probably
course.
probably a special interview.
Of course, it's a special one interview. Of course, Mourinho. Let's go see.
Right, Anna, you should narrate this
I mean,
because look, this is where you live.
this is my
the
city.
eternal city.
It's my house, my home for like 6 years. It's been my home for 6 years and it's amazing. Rome is so beautiful, it's full of art, full of culture, full of history. And one of the things that impacted me the most when I got to Rome was the passion with which Roma fans and Lazio fans like go to watch every single game. I mean, it gets even aggressive sometimes, but the derby, Lazio-Roma and Roma-Lazio, it's, I mean, a thing that every Serie A fan has to, at least once in a lifetime, go and see.
And once again, I think it's time to live vicariously through Marco. Marco, I understand you are going to the capital for the derby, which is not this coming weekend, it's the week after that. How excited are you about seeing Roma against Lazio?
I know. Now that Anna's been building it up, you're kind of getting me a little bit too excited now about going to the match. It's going to be the first time that I go see the Derby della Capitale, and it's actually the one that my father, who he grew up a Roma fan, it's a match that he told me that I have to see one day. It's a game that he was looking most forward for me to go watch, and he said that it's something that any Serie A fan you need to experience, because you're not going to see that sort of passion and what Roma and what Lazio mean to the fans over there is, as he explained it, and he's a little bit biased, but he says it means more to them than it does anything else. So to be able to see that and to witness that sort of passion, it's something that I'm looking forward to so much.
Yeah, and also if you go to a bar in Roma, the only thing you're gonna hear about is Roma or Lazio, how they play, who's the best player. I hate the coach, I don't hate him. It's all about football in Rome. So,
and the best thing,
but that's the best part.
Around. Absolutely, go ahead, Marco.
Guys, my favorite part about Italy is that you go into a bar and you ask people their opinions. You hear about what they think about the game. They argue with you. For me, those are the connections that you make that makes Italy so special and makes Serie A so special. It's the people.
Yeah, look, Serie A is not just a league, it's a lifestyle.
I mean, that should be our tagline, I think,
Yes.
for the entire episode. If I had
we're all taking credit for that one.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you, Septimus YT. Let's try and frame that, or at least pin it there. I'm a technophobe,
Septimus
otherwise I'd
even
have already done it.
has the name of like an emperor. No?
Yeah, absolutely. Isn't it the 7 hills of Rome? So once again, we're on topic there. I'm getting sidetracked. But what I would say, just to close on the Rome derby, is it's great because that fixture is the biggest fixture of the season for them. It's not just a cliche. For both the Biancocelesti and the Giallorossi supporters every season, but even more so at the moment, because it's great to see that Roma have won their last 2 by a goal to nil. Tammy Abraham stepping up, represent England. Thank you very much. And Lazio with that impressive win in Sardinia against Cagliari. So a couple of weeks from now, it's going to be a significant game.
It's the 5th time since January that Lazio has scored 3 goals.
There you go.
On the same match.
What's it? They call it Sarri ball. There you go. Maurizio Sarri.
I mean, people used to say, no, Sarri has no system. They're still not a work in progress. But I mean, the result is that you have Lazio playing really well some matches. Roma right now, not that well, but they have Tammy Abraham that has changed the complete scenery. I mean, he opened. How many matches did Tammy Abraham open?
Annie, you're bringing all the stats today. How many times has he scored the first goal in a game? I would think probably 8 or 9 times.
You're so right. 8. 8. Tammy Abraham
I can keep my day job.
Has scored 8 times the first goal.
There you go.
I mean, he's
the man that prizes open those matches. And there you see, Roma and Lazio have only won 5 Scudetto in all their history, and I think that's what makes it so special.
Yeah,
because
2 years in a row.
Yeah. 2000, 2001. You've done your homework again there, including. But you never forget your first time, do you? Whether it's winning the Scudetto or indeed the first ever video published on the Lega Serie A YouTube channel. Do you know which one it was? I've got a feeling you do because
No,
it's
I
written
don't.
down here.
You tell
Can
me.
tell
I'm
us?
not gonna look.
It is Sampdoria against Cagliari from the 2014-15 season. We're going back a few years now, going back 7 years. Bit of calcio nostalgia for you. Let's see the images. There you go. Look at that. Ah, Marassi.
One of the best stadiums, by the way. I love this
Absolutely.
stadium.
This was the first ever video on Serie A.
I believe so. Absolutely.
I mean,
There you go. Angelo Palombo, Siniša Mihajlović, Gianfranco Zola. I mean, look at this. We really are going back in time now.
do you remember your first match?
My first ever match, Italian match, or in general?
Italian match.
My first ever Italian match, I believe, was I did a game between Siena and Crotone. I think it was 5-2 in Serie B. Yeah, back when I first moved over to Italy in the heady halcyon days of the 2013-14 season.
Okay.
Yes.
And Serie
Which
A?
was a memorable season
And
because it was
Serie
the
A?
first season that Sassuolo were up in the top league. I don't remember my first game from Serie A, to be honest, which probably means it was a drab 0-0 draw. But there you go.
Must have been boring.
But that's the only one we've seen in 7 years, by the way, because, as we've said, the league has really developed.
Yeah, and we speak in 3 different languages in Serie A. Not only English and Italian, but also
Arabic, but
Of course.
before we want to get onto that, I've got a feeling that we should probably talk about the way that Serie A has changed, because there you can see that footage from 2014-15. Stefano Carca there playing for Sampdoria, for instance. I think, and there you can see that there are some players from a bygone era now that it's easy to forget who has played in this league, who's been and gone. Marco, what are your memories of the last few years? And I know I think you're in your late 20s now. We'll say mid to late 20s. You gave that away to us earlier on. So you're the perfect demographic, really, to explain in that last 7-year period from your teens into your 20s now. How has Serie A changed, and what have you noticed about the star players? And if you had to sort of go through that time period, who are the players that have stood out? What are the teams and the eras that have stood out in that time?
Yeah, I mean, as we said in the beginning, Serie A has changed so much. And I think the thing that makes me the most excited is seeing youngsters develop. It's kind of like getting in early. I don't know if anyone maybe is into like the stock market or something, right? You want to get a stock early and then you see it grow, or like a little baby and then you see how it develops. And, I kind of feel that way with Sassuolo these days, with how many young players they have, and then they become stars elsewhere. Obviously, we've seen that even with Italy winning in the Euros, so many different players going on to create big things. But, if we talk about the last 7 years, obviously Juventus, what they did, winning 9 Scudetti in a row and really dominating in Italy for such a long time, and, getting to 2 Champions League finals. And, the midfield, I think that the one thing that I think about in that era was the MVPP. If you guys remember, Marchisio, Vidal, Pogba, and Pirlo, that really dominated in the world and made people all around the globe fall in love with Serie A and fall in love with that style of play.
We should talk about Euro 2020 because you were covering the tournament, I seem to recall, Anna. And some real standout performers in that tournament. Yes, we've spoken about the likes of Niccolò Barella. Excuse me. Federico Chiesa. I got so excited about Federico Chiesa.
Let me give you some water.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Federico Chiesa. Talk to me about him. I'm going to take a sip of water.
Okay. Federico Chiesa, I was also impressed with Locatelli, Berardi. Also, I mean, they used to criticize the whole Italian team because they said they didn't have an attacker, a proper attacker. But in the end, they managed to get through every single phase and win it. So, I mean, is it so important to have one striker, for example, like Luca Toni was before? But yeah, exactly. What do you think?
I think it's important to have strength in depth, lots of different options, because different opponents pose different challenges and you need different ways to break them down. So on the one hand, you can have Belotti, who's all hard running, good in the air, lots of work rate. Immobile, who's a good finisher, has that pace in behind. It's important to have a different style of play and different options as well. Sometimes you can play with the false nine. We saw Italy do that to good effect. So I think it is important to have that mix and match. And
it is also true that, for example, Immobile didn't play the same when he was with the national team that when he plays with Lazio. Why? I mean, how can that be possible. You're like the striker of your team. You like solve every single match, and then when you play with your country, you can't do the same.
I think you're being a little bit unfair on Ciro Immobile there. What I would say, Anna, is
I like him. I like him, but
20 goals this season, joint with Dusan Vlahovic in the race for the Capocannoniere.
okay, you studied too.
Absolutely. And above all, I think it's an important point, and it's quite topical because Olivier Giroud went to the 2018 World Cup with France. Didn't score a single goal in that tournament. World champion. Didier Deschamps said what an important player he was, made the other guys around him better. Kylian Mbappe, Antoine Griezmann. We've seen the same with Immobile as well. Yes, he didn't necessarily score as many goals as he did at Lazio, where the team is almost built around him in the way that they play. But he allowed the likes of Chiesa, Berardi, Insigne all to perform well. We saw goals from Locatelli in the tournament as well.
I mean, this was the Chiesa's year, of course. He was already doing a great season with Fiorentina.
No, absolutely.
He's like in these 2-3 last seasons, but his like big explosion was this summer. Bad thing that he got injured with Juve, because as soon as he got to Juventus, but I'd say he's one of the biggest talent Italy has right now.
I would agree. And speaking about Italy, why don't we broaden our horizons, as you said earlier on, because we're going to talk about Serie A now all around the world, because it's not just in Italy, it's not just in Spain, in America, in England, because the Serie A YouTube channel provides commentary.
The brain Kendrick.
Well, there
They
you
call
go.
you the
Yeah. You know, what can I say about that? I might happen to know who has written that comment, so we're gonna move on from that, and on we go, because
guys, can I ask you a quick question? I'm sorry, I got cut off. I have a quick question, because we were speaking about the Euros, and as we mentioned, we're a very diverse group over here. I know, Anna, you're from Spain. Patrick, you're from England. Guys, in the semifinal and the final, who are each of you supporting when Italy played Spain and Italy played England? I need to know, please.
For me, it was super hard. But at the same time, I'm going to be super honest. I work for the Italian TV. So any of them was a good thing for me. I mean, I've been living in Rome for 6 years. It's giving me a lot. This country has given me so much that I was happy with both of them winning. For real. Like, people won't believe me, but I was happy.
Good answer. Good answer.
I'm going to be quite honest and open and cynical.
I
I was a bit of a mercenary about it. No, honestly, I was working interpreting the press conferences for the Italian national team. Therefore, I had a vested interest in them going far in the tournament. The further they went, the more I worked.
Better for you.
Therefore, etc. And then we got
I respect
the
it.
situation. But honestly, it's a crazy situation, because I was working remotely. I live, because of COVID-19. I live in the city centre of Milan, and we got to the stage where finally it was the perfect situation, whereby Italy had made it to the final. They couldn't play any more matches. Whether they won or lost was irrelevant to how much I'd worked the full tournament. So I thought, this is great. Now I can focus on supporting England. But I had bought so much into that Italian team. I connected with them so much.
Yeah, of course.
I
When
couldn't
you
just
follow a
switch it
team
off.
every single day and you're speaking
And
about
this is going to sound, this is terrible. But ultimately, the reason why I wanted England to win more than anything was my flat overlooks a busy roundabout, Piazzale Loreto in Milan, if anyone knows it.
Selfish.
Oh,
That is
honestly.
selfish.
And I had to interpret at 2 a.m. and I had cars deliberately. Italians, the way they celebrate is they all get in cars, sit in traffic jams, and then just beat their horns.
Yeah, I know.
When you've got headphones on, you're trying to interpret.
I know.
Poor old Gareth Southgate at the other end, he just kept hearing beep, beep, beep. You know, it was almost like rubbing it in his face. But there you go. So that is my anecdote from Euro 2020.
Marco, you?
Me? No, come on. It was just Italy.
all the
That's
way.
it. That's it.
Okay, so in the World Cup, if Italy gets to like the World Cup,
When Italy gets to the World Cup, no, for me, you know, I'm kind of bad on that side with the American side. For me, I grew up in such an Italian household that it was only Italy, and I never really got into the U.S. national team. So that's it.
okay, Italiano, 100%.
One quick question for you, Marco, before we move on. Is Chiesa the best Italian talent? Do you agree with what Wata's Hamza has said?
You know, I do. Chiesa, he's really struck me. Unfortunately, you know, hopefully we see him return as quick as possible from his injury. But he's the type of player that he could create magic from any moment. And I think the Euros was the perfect example to show also the character that's behind Federico Chiesa, because talent is great and there's a lot of players that have talent, but it gets to that level where you need to show up in the big moments and you need to have a calm head. And I specifically remember after one of his goals in the Euros where the ball came over the top, and he said, at that moment, I had to remind myself to remain calm, because most of the time I want to just kick the ball, you know, just go for it. But I realize that I have to calm myself down, control the ball, and shoot. And for me, that's what a top player does, and he proved that this summer.
Speaking of Chiesa, let's remind Serie A followers what a season has Fiorentina been doing.
Fiorentina has had a good season, but yeah, you know, now he's moved on to Juventus. It's a little bit raw.
Leaving Chiesa,
I think we should leave the
Chiesa
Fiorentina-Juventus rivalry aside. Why don't we talk about Serie A, the fact that...
But Fiorentina is in Serie A.
Guys, don't fight over there, guys. Don't fight. Don't fight. I'm going to break you up.
He's been like this all morning. That's all I'm going to say. What I would say is, Anna, why don't we talk about Serie A being in Italian, being in English, and above all, being in the Arabic language, because there are 10 matches streamed every single week in the MENA region, Middle East and North Africa. There's also a talk show on a Thursday. Great coverage of the Italian top flight. So we'd like to say hello to all of our friends, those of you watching from the MENA region, Middle East and North Africa. And we also have a message from an icon of the Italian game, one of our ambassadors. Let's see who it is.
Well done to all the viewers, more than 8 million viewers watching the Lega Serie A. Let's try and get the 9 million.
I mean, what is 9 million if you got to 8 million?
Well, and especially if Bob Ovieri is telling us to get 9 million, you may as well get 9 million. You don't want to get on his bad side. I love that Australian lilt he has in his accent as well, growing up in Australia. Bob Ovieri, should we see some of Bob Ovieri's best goals?
Let's go see.
It would be a sin not to, I think. Yeah. Let's see some of his best goals. Absolutely sensational footballer, Bob Ovieri. Not just a great goal scorer, incredible left foot. The lot, Atalanta, Milan, Juventus, Inter. He went there, did it, went to Spain, did really well at Atletico Madrid as well. But moving on from Bob Ovieri's goals, because we were talking about the Serie A highlights.
Yeah, we love highlights.
We love highlights because it's the best way of seeing a match without having to necessarily spend 90 minutes doing it. You know, that's what's great about YouTube. Every single time, 3-minute highlights available in 3 languages, particularly in English, within an hour of full time. So make sure you get your fix on the Serie A YouTube channel. If you haven't done already, keep subscribing, because we did challenge all of the viewers right at the top of the show, didn't we? We said we want to see how many subscribers we get come the end of the show. Unfortunately, we didn't necessarily have that benchmark to say we started here, we're getting there. So we can actually make up the growth, to be honest. So let's just say we've got 200,000 new subscribers.
Did we say the highlights were for free?
The highlights, above all, are for free. I mean, what more do you want than that? I mean, you can't say fairer than that. But what is the video with the most views this season? Because we've seen the one that's had the most views in general, but this season, what do you reckon?
I would say it's one where I was.
Oh, yeah? What game was that?
Supercoppa Frecciarossa.
Good. Well done for naming the sponsor as well.
Between Inter and and Juventus. What a game. Yep.
What a game. Can you remind us how it ended? For those
Inter
that didn't
won.
watch it.
Inter won.
Inter didn't just win. How did they win?
Like in the last moment.
The last minute of extra time, a goal from Alexis
Smash
Sanchez.
and grab. Would you say
Smash
that?
and grab, right? I think you might be doing a disservice to Simone Inzaghi's Nerazzurri, but there you go. I mean, that will certainly be a favourable take from a Juventus perspective.
It was great to be there. It was great to get
There's
to
Bobo
live the
again.
whole experience. I was there with them on the train, got to do some interviews with them. I mean,
Del
it's
Fiero.
awesome to get to be so close to legends of Serie A. I mean, it's undescribable. And also getting to be pitchside in the at the stadium the day before. We saw, like, look, we were there during behind the scenes.
There
were
to see you
so
wearing
many.
your mask.
Yep, of course it was mandatory, and it still is.
Branding
I
as
don't know
well.
if excuse me.
Branded Serie A mask.
Yeah, of course. If you're
On point.
working for Serie A, you have to be Serie A everything. So, so yeah, we had a lot of fun, and it was a great match.
It was an incredible match as well. So we've spoken about Juventus. We need to speak about the team that are Italian champions, winners of the Super Cup. Marco, what have you made of this transformation of Inter? It was all doom and gloom negativity last summer, wasn't it? Antonio Conte left. They had to sell Lukaku. They had to sell Hakimi. They brought in a couple of players. Yeah, Dumfries and Edin Dzeko. It wasn't necessarily the big headline names we're expecting. And yet there they are in the title race. What have you made of their season so far?
I know in the summer, they, some fans made it seem like the sky was falling for them, after losing all those pieces that you mentioned. Inzaghi came in after doing such a great job at Lazio. I was always a fan of his style of football. He brought in key pillars. And, we could argue the semantics over if he made them better, if he didn't. But for me, he brought them a different dimension, to say the least. They have so many different goal scorers. I think over 16 different goal scorers in their squad, and they have a freedom. If you listen to some of the interviews and you hear what the players say, they say that we get to this moment on the pitch where our minds are calm, and Inzaghi tells us, hey, you do whatever you want, interpret the game how you feel it. Whereas with Conte, and again, you could choose which one you want, but Conte is like a hammer. He wants every single player in the exact moment, 1 inch away from each other to the T. And there's no freedom or creativity. So Inzaghi has brought that to the team, and you're seeing the fruits of his labor. I think that they play an impressive brand of football. For me, just the way that I like football, the best football in Italy is played by Inter and by Inzaghi's team.
And also, for example, Lukaku, that got to be with Inzaghi only for a couple days, he said on an interview that he loves Inzaghi and the way he treated him and the way he spoke to him, even if he knew that what he was doing was wrong. I mean, to leave the game from one day to the team from one day to another without any advice before. He said he is the best coach he's ever met. I mean,
that's praise indeed, and he's played with some great coaches as well, Romelu Lukaku.
I think he's regretting the choice now.
To another one. Absolutely, yeah. But if we talk about Dusan Vlahovic, who we mentioned earlier on, because he is the joint top scorer with Ciro Immobile, 20 goals, and we have the opportunity now to see one of his goals, albeit in a slightly different flavour. Okay? We're going to see it not just in English, not just in Italian, but we're also going to see some Arabic commentary, which I absolutely love. The passion is incredible. Let's see these goals from Vlahovic.
Got the option. Vlahovic controls and does what he does best. He is now the outright leader at the top of the Serie A scoring charts. Dusan Vlahovic.
Quadrado, pallone per Morata, cerca Vlahovic, Morata, lo serve, ottimo il controllo, Vlahovic tocca sotto, 3-1 Juve, ancora Dusan Vlahovic, implacabile, la porta avanti, controlla e salta Vicario, l'assist di Alvaro Morata.
كوادرادو إلى موراتا، انطلاقة للمهاجم الإسباني، فرصة لليوفي، اليوفي يريد الثالث، فلاهوفيتش حطها في المرمى، جول الثالث يأتي يوم فلاهوفيتش، فعل الحسن بالنسبة لجماهير اليوفي، الرقم 7.
What do you notice about the differences there, Anna, and the difference between the style, the English style, the Italian style, the Arabic?
I mean,
what jumps out at you?
Italy is drama and passion, and everything is super like exaggerated, no? And I have to say, I love that. I wasn't expecting Arabic commentary to be more or less like that too. So I don't know on your side, because you like do that in English every single time, and you're like a great commentator in English.
I do try and almost get a little bit of these influences from elsewhere.
It's like a bit colder, maybe.
More surgical.
Yep.
Yeah, it could be a little bit more cynical, but I think the best thing is to try and really get that contagion and that spread, and try and have influences from elsewhere. Marco, did you grow up, when you were growing up, were you listening more to Italian commentary, English commentary? What do you appreciate about those different styles? And could you almost find a perfect mix? And obviously we don't understand the Arabic. I'm speaking for all three of us here, I'm assuming, but there's a lot to be said about that passion as well, and holding those long notes on the goals as well.
So it always depended where I was. You know, if I would go to my grandpa's house, and you know he was not very good at setting up his TV, I would put Rai International on. And for anyone that's outside, that's in the United States, you guys remember Rai International, and that would be only an Italian commentary. And just for the way that he watched the game, he would only listen to it in the Italian commentary. That's the way it was. But I grew up listening to it in English, and you know, I find the beauty in I love Italian commentary, don't get me wrong, but I also find the beauty in somebody that's from the outside that has a different perspective, and the way that they commentate on a game that we know so well. I think that usually you get such good perspective, and I think even for us to be able to hear the different languages, and maybe Anna, if she could do a little bit of Spanish later on, we could get another one in there too. I like the mix. I like them all.
I can try. But I'm really. Oh my goodness! We had
Hold that thought, Anna, because this is stage fright. Unfortunately,
look, Marco, you just asked that, and my micro went nuts. I mean,
we discussed this at length in show prep before we came on the air, because the plan was always to get Anna to commentate on a clip, to get Marco to commentate on a clip as well. I'm going to step aside from this because it's my day off, so I think I've got enough on my plate with the presenting, let alone having to commentate.
Let me just grab the mic because I can't hear Marco.
For that. Yeah, you go and grab that. In the meantime, Marco, we'll start with you.
You can
choose English, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, Arabic. Which language are you going to choose for your commentary demo? We want to hear it. The fans want to hear Marco Messina on the mic.
We leave Spanish to I gotta do this in English.
Away you go.
Sorry, it's a little bit laggy for me.
Let's start the clip again. We'll start the clip again. We'll give him a mulligan, as they say in golf. Take two. Just the one though.
Yes.
Okay, I can.
Ball intercepted from the right side. Ball in from Milinkovic Savic. You see Felipe Anderson, top of the box, cuts past one, cuts past the second, puts the ball to the back of the net. Goal! Lazio! Così.
What do you think, Anna?
He's very good.
You're the expert.
No, I'm not. I'm really bad, I have to say. I'm just going to say, really bad at this.
Right, I'm going to technically say I enjoyed it. I like the passion. I like the energy.
Marco, very good.
You can tell that he's...
Approved.
You can tell that he's used to the camera. The camera loves him because he was celebrating there as well. You know, there's this modern trend as well of putting GoPro cameras on commentators when they're in the booth sometimes. Marco clearly falling into that category. I like the passion. The player ID was right as well, Marco. You didn't get the players wrong, which is the first rule of commentary. Anna, let's see how you fare now. What's your language?
Okay,
Spanish,
I'll say Spanish. Yeah. Can I just invent the names of the players? Because I can't see anything from here.
Okay.
Okay, let's go. Avere.
I like Spanish as well. Perhaps Anna can do one for us.
Saque de puerta. Espera un momento, non so qual è la squadra. La Juventus pasa. ¡Qué cross de Morata! No, y marca Morata. Es Morata, sí. Y finalmente el jugador español encuentra su gol de nuevo después de 5 partidos sin haber marcado. ¡Qué gran asistencia de Vlahovic! And you know something that Spanish people, we shout so much. I mean, it's like we go over the top.
That was brilliant.
It wasn't because I didn't say anything. I mean,
Anna, I think you nailed it. Here's another one.
I'm so bad.
Giroud?
I'm so bad.
You can't claim Giroud. He's French. He's not Spanish.
Let me see another one.
One more clip. Have we got one more clip? Let's see the other end.
Please, Patrick, can we see you? Patrick, I
suffering.
want to hear the professional.
This is really
You
how it's
can.
done.
What I would recommend is that if you are outside of Italy, because they are geo-blocked in Italy, you can go onto the Serie A YouTube channel and you can click on Napoli 0, Milan 1, and you will hear me call that exact goal. It's much easier when it's live.
You're great.
Thanks very much. But with that,
Thank you,
brilliant finish by Olivier Giroud. I did like that Spanish. It really flowed. You had the narrative spot on. From my rudimentary
it's not my thing.
scholastic
Nah, it's
understanding of Spanish. You said, finally, the Spaniard has got back on the score sheet. For the first time in 5 games, Alvaro Morata has made his mark, and so on and so forth. I was impressed.
Well,
Thought it was a little bit too fast.
yeah.
Sometimes we might be in danger of not understanding what you're saying.
Very,
Anna, you forgot to do a goal.
Let me say that at the end.
Go for it.
Gol, 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 gol. Marca el francés para el Milan. Giroud vuelve a la portería y delante del Nápoles consigue llevarse la victoria en el estadio Armando Maradona.
Wow. First goal away from San Siro as well. Brilliant. What lovely, what a beautiful accent. Anna is beautiful. So there we go.
Thank you so much.
We've got some praise about Marco as well. Marco, thank you for teaching me the language to talk about football in English. Wow, that is praise indeed. I find it useful because, you know, I might get some questions related to the topic of sports in the exam. Before we go, because 7 blocks down, one to go, we said 8 million subscribers, 8 blocks. We are going to just about stick to the running order. We've gone a little bit fast and loose with that, but it's okay. It's YouTube. That's what we're here for. It's a little bit different.
I mean, it's live.
Right. So what do we need to aim for now?
Huh?
We're at a...
Excuse me, what?
We're at 8 million.
Okay. We're going to celebrate our 8 million, no?
We are.
Okay.
Let's do that first, and then we'll talk about the future. Let's celebrate 8 million subscribers. Here's how we've got there.
Okay.
يستقبل ميلان
va dentro col filtrante da Giroud che si gira col tacco. Giroud
And a brilliant finish as well.
لا يا جيرو
Malinowski.
8 million subscribers.
Yep.
What comes after 8?
9.
Okay. Why do we need to get to 9 million subscribers?
I think it's 9. I don't know.
Hardest question of the night.
Yep.
I think, yeah, your
I wasn't
mathematics is on a
prepared
par
for
with your
that. I
commentary
wasn't
skills,
prepared
Anna.
for
But there you go.
I mean, we will get there sooner or later, I'm hoping. Here's
Because
hoping.
we have a couple of people in our sites.
Okay.
Well, I say a couple of people, a couple of sports institutions, Marco, from your neck of the woods, because the NFL has 9.1 million subscribers. So they're a fraction ahead of us. The NBA has a whopping 18 million subscribers. They're double what the NFL is on at this moment in time, Marco. Is there anything that we can pinch from the way the Americans do things that can allow this growth to go even faster? So maybe we can sort of reel in NFL, because we're a little bit like Juventus in this, aren't we? You know, we've started from the bottom in the context of this season, I hasten to add, and we're trying to chase back and catch up with these powerhouses ahead, NFL and NBA, a little bit like Milan and Inter. How can we do it, Marco?
I proudly say I am not one of those 9.1 million on the NFL or the NBA, whichever one it was. But I will say, while I don't watch, those sports, I'll be honest with you, their content strategy is really good. And just from my perspective, for the way that I see that I consume content, you know, they share a lot of personal stories and they get you connected to a player. And I think that's one thing that can be done that really can gain in, because I think in Italy, we have so many beautiful stories, and you guys live in Italy, right? Now I'm in Italy. You know, you understand at a cultural level and at a local level, you find out some of these things and you say to yourself, how have I never known that before? Those are the things that suck us in. It's the storylines that make us watch every single week. So I think if we could do that, that's it. Not even 9 million. We're going to get to like 15, 20 million real soon.
Do you think here in Italy, they need like more of an entertainment point of view. Like, for example, every single game of NBA becomes like a huge event. It doesn't happen with every game of Serie A. It happens with a derby, but it doesn't happen every single Sunday.
I think that there is value in like building something up, and I think that like when you see in United States that I really love, you see a lot of kids and families going to games, and they make it a little bit more family friendly. That's one thing that I do really like. So it's a beautiful spectacle to go to. I don't think we need to go over the top and do like the Super
fireworks
Bowl
and all that.
Show. Nah, we don't have to get Snoop Dogg like they did.
Lopez at Empoli County.
I mean,
exactly.
I would love Jennifer Lopez.
We'd love to see her there, but I don't think it's going to happen. Not anytime soon. But
unless you could sing Patrick, and then you could do a halftime commentary singing, and that could be our entertainment.
Watch this space. Absolutely. I think we are pretty much out of time, but I liked Marco's optimism. I think he said not even 9 million. I think he said 15, 20 million. So that's great. So watch this space. So before we go, I think we should maximize what remaining time we have left. To remind you all to subscribe, please, because we said we started just a shade over 8 million. Now we're going to drive towards 9 million and then on to 10 and into double figures.
There's a lot of hard work here at Serie A. We're trying to...
Loads. Especially here at Lisone with the wonderful IBC. We didn't necessarily see just what... We could have shown you around. Maybe next time, if we have next time, we'll be able to show you around. Because
let's just tell them that, for example, the VAR is here.
It's all here.
It's right here. Every single match that is controlled from here, from Lisone.
Almost just behind this set,
every
believe it or
referee
not.
here.
I know
Every
it looks like we're in
single
the stadium,
Sunday.
but this is actually a set. And behind us, we have the VAR rooms, all the 10 different rooms. And it's a wonderful facility. So if you ever get the chance, come up to Lisone near Monza. I'm not sure they necessarily let you in, but please admire the facility from the outside. Please make sure that you are respectful. But it has been wonderful
been great.
to take an hour with you, Anna, and with you, Marco, as well in Naples. Before you sign off, where are you headed next? Want to hear all about your Italian adventure?
Okay. So actually, I'm going to Salerno. I'm going to Salernitana. I'm doing Salernitana against Sassuolo at the weekend because, we really want to cover teams that probably would not get as much coverage. It's fun to do the Juventus, the Inter, the Milan, those games, but we need to share those stories, just like we were saying.
The underdog.
So exactly. So actually, I'm going to Salernitana. I've never been to Salerno before. They tell me it's beautiful. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Wonderful.
Very nice.
Marco is heading to the Amalfi Coast.
He's doing what he has to do. He has to show every single team.
What a hardship. I'm going to go to the Amalfi Coast and watch a football match.
I mean, I can
don't give all my secrets, Patrick.
He's very upset. He's very upset.
So keep an eye on all of Marco's social channels to make sure that you're seeing all of his great content. Keep an eye on Anna as well. Instagram, Twitter, she does the lot. And make sure that you keep subscribing to YouTube. Yeah, most of all. Keep watching Serie A on YouTube because there is content every single day. Italian, English, Arabic, you name it, we've got it. We will see you sometime in the future.
And thank you for being with us.
Bye-bye.